Namaste everyone, and welcome back. We are continuing with Mundaka Upanishad. There was a voluntary gap taken for the sake of those who wish to revise the portion done and also attempt some questions that would summarize the chapter for them. In times to come, you can look back at your own understanding, and as your understanding goes on growing and improving, one sees how it starts to solidify and come together. So, with this first section, first chapter of Mundaka Upanishad is over, 9 mantras. Basically, the main mantras that have come is from 5th mantra to 9th mantra, because before that was the parampara and Shaunaka's question. Main emphasis has been on showing the difference between Brahma Vidya. Upanishad's topic is Brahma Vidya. And so to distinguish this from every other knowledge, this particular Upanishad mentions Paravidya and Aparavidya. In the first introduces it. The second section onwards, it now starts to explain it. And the first part of the second section of first chapter, the Upanishad is elaborating on apara-vidya. And its main purpose, as we will just see after the invocation. But just to recap, that Upanishad takes a lot of pain, effort. Of course, effortless for Upanishad, but from our side, takes a great detail to discern between the two, para and apara vidya. So before we start off, I'll just do the invocation. Let us all do it together. Om Bhadram Karnebhiः Shrunuyama Devaः Bhadram Pashyemakshabhairyajtraः Sthirairangaistुष्टुवांसस्तनूभिः Vyashemadevahitಂ yadayuः Swasti na Indro Vriddhashavaha Swasti na Usha Vishvavedaha Swasti nastarkshyo Arishtanemihi Swasti no Brahaspatir Dadhatu Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. I'll just chant the first verse of section 2 of Mundaka Upanishad, chapter 1. Tadetat satyam mantreshu karmani kavayo Tadetat satyam mantreshu karmani kavayo yanyapashyan tani tretayam bahuda santatani tanyacharathaniyatam satyakama eshavah pantha sukrutasya loke. So, connecting the first section and the second section, Shankara gives a Sambandha Bhashyam before the first mantra of the second section. And in this he says, summarizing the first section, that all Aksharam, up to the point of Aksharam Brahma, first apara was defined by saying Rigved, Yajurved, etc. And then from Yat Tadatreshyam verse onwards, mantra onwards, up to the end was the apara, was the Paravidya mentioned. In the second section, Shankara says that these two are mentioned because they are respectively connected to two topics more, which is samsara and moksha. So apara and paravidya were spoken of. There are two more topics that this vidya gets related to, which means apara vidya is related to samsara, paravidya is related to moksha, and how they are related is now going to be explained in this section. So, just for the sake of repetition and tuning, apara vidya is all including Vedas. Secular knowledge is not even considered as knowledge in this context. In the Vedic knowledge, context of Vedic knowledge alone, Vedas and Upavedas, Upangas, everything is lower knowledge. Apara vidya. Why? He tried to explain before, only to say that they're only words and they take a person to the realm of karma. This much was said. Shankara says here, now that is going to be more defined. How does apara vidya get related to samsara? Means for those who follow apara vidya, your end is samsara. It will lead to sansar. And for those who follow paravidya, your end is, it leads to moksha. How? He says in the second paragraph on page 27 of Gita Press Gorakhpur, Mundaka Upanishad book, page 27, second paragraph, second section where it starts, Tatra apara vidya vishayaha kartradi sadhana kriya phala bheda rupaha संसारः अनादिः अनन्तः दुःखस्वरूपत्वात् हातव्यः प्रत्येकं शरीरिभिः सामस्त्येन नदीस्रोतोत्वत् अविच्छेदरूपसम्बन्धः तत् उपशमलक्षणः मोक्षः paravidya vishayah. Then starts paravidya. So the first part, it is worth going over because samsara is very beautifully summarized here. Tatra apara vidya vishaya. The topic of apara vidya is tatra, here, now, relating to apara vidya. The topic of apara vidya is kartradi. Kartradi means when you are becoming a karta of a karma. And one who is a karta, that adi pada there, etc., means with reference to any karma, there are a lot of factors that come into play. Like we have already seen many times in the past, for any karma to be done, there will be an object. To someone, some object the action gets related to. So here other things that will get introduced is all the accessories of those karmas that one will need to perform, and mantras, devatas, the whole procedure of which place, which time, when, all the details that come along with the Vaidika karma. This is all the sadhan that is also required for a phala to come. So this kartra sadhana kriya phala, this is the bheda. So apara vidya is distinguished by the kartra, etc., devtas, mantras, etc., which are the sadhans also, accessories related to karma and phal. This division is the characteristic of apara vidya, means the entire Vedic knowledge, karmakand part, is dealing with kartru bhav. And this division that is emphasized, sustained through karmas, because you cannot do a karma if there is no object of karma. There is a subject object division in the performance of karma. This subject object division is sustained through knowledge of apara vidya. Vedas give us the mantras, give us the method, etc. Sansara is the expression of it. What is the characteristic of sansara? Anadi. It is beginningless. When did it start? Sansara is beginningless. Anantaha. It is also seemingly endless from the standpoint of macrocosm. There is always a moving on. To explain this anantaha, it is like saying not at an individual level, because sansara can be destroyed at an individual level with Brahma Vidya. But he says here with reference to the continuity of life that seems to be flowing, the pravaha nityatvam. And that is why he mentions the example also, nadis trovat. Like the stream, one after another, there is a continuous flow of water in a river. In the same way, in creation, there is a continuous manifestation of life. Creation is a continuous manifestation. It is continuous. It's ananta from that standpoint. Doesn't have a end. Like in Brahma Vidya, individual samsara will end. But sansara lakshana is what? It is endless. It is continuously flowing one after another. The same thing never repeats back, but it is just replaced and replaced and replaced. Continuous flow, pravaha, nityatva. It is also dukkha swarupatvat. This being also the characteristic of dukkha. Pratyekam shariri bhihi hatavyaha. Every person, shariri bhihi, the one who's now with the sharir, the one who has taken on the body. In Hindi, the translation is dehadhari. अब जो देहधारी है, such a one, hatavyaha, should, pratyekam shariri means every person should, every shariradhari should, hatavyaha, put an end to this. Put an end to what? Samsara, which is dukkha swarupa. Tat upashama lakshanaha mokshaha. And on its cessation, on its ending, when this samsara ends, upashama, withdraws, khatam ho jata hai. When the samsara ends, that ending of it is mokshaha. And what is mokshaha? Para vidya vishayaha. It is the topic of Paravidya. Why should you know Paravidya? Because it relates to moksha. This Paravidya is what he characterizes that also. Again, it is anadi. Moksha is also anadi. Means you're ever liberated. Anantaha, it Brahman, moksha is Brahman, anadi, anantaha, ajaraha, not born, amaraha, eternal, amritaha, has no death. These are words implying the similar thing, up and down, plus and minus. Abhayaha, it's fearless, freedom from dvait. There is no dvait, so there is no fear. Shuddhaha, there is only ekam, so there is shuddhaha. Prasannaha, swatma pratishtha lakshanaha. It's prasannaha means it is ever restful, peaceful by itself. Prasannaha and swatma pratishtha lakshanaha. It is established in its own pratishtha, in its own self, free from the body, mind, senses, etc., established in it. Parmanandaha advayaha, of the nature of Paramanandaha, and it is non advaya, it is non dual, it is free from duality. This is the topic of Paravidya. Having said this, he says, and this point is what is, which is page 28. For all those who have wondered why did Shankara put in this, or I'm sorry, why does the Upanishad mention apara vidya is also to be known? I don't know how many of you had this doubt, but certainly it is worth thinking. If Brahma Vidya is what is going to bring moksha, then why no apara vidya? Of course, at one point he is explained because it helps in chitta shuddhi, etc. Over here, Shankara puts it in such a beautiful way. He says the second section is first going to again take up the topic of apara vidya. Few mantras are first explaining apara vidya, and in fact the first mantra is emphasizing to perform karma. That means learn apara vidya to do your karma. This he says in the beginning is going to be started. Apara vidya is going to be spoken of. Purvam tavat apara vidyayaha vishaya pradarshanartham arambhaha. The topic of apara vidya is going to be shown first in details, is beginning now, arambhaha. Why? And that can be underlined. Tat darshanehi tan nirveda upapattehe. Because when you get clarity about what can apara vidya give, when one gets knowledge of apara vidya, with that knowledge is going to give nirveda upapattehe. It will become possible to develop nirvedata, and you have seen this through Bhagavad Gita. The word comes there also, nirvedam. Nirveda means now you have grown out of the Vedas, means you have grown out of karma, means now you have developed vairagyam. Dispassion, translation. But vairagyam is the main thing. Shankara says here the emphasis, the mentioning of the apara vidya in the first portion before even para vidya is given, because it's a very commonsensical thing. If para vidya is going to give Brahman, Brahmagyan, and Brahmagyan will give moksha, then just give us Brahmagyan. Why are you telling us about apara vidya in the first place? Yes, to some extent they said develops chitta shuddhi. What about chitta shuddhi is it that will help you with paravidya? Shankara here clarifies it. What really happens is when more and more you know what apara vidya can give you or what it gives you, there is an internal dispassion developed for the fruit that it offers, for the result that it the karmas can bring. So while on one hand, it is that you want the fruits, so you do the karma, but more and more vidya of how to do and how to get, he says, one gets this tat darshanehi tan nirveda upapattehe. You get the vision of losing interest in the fruit. And that is the first qualification for Brahma Vidya. Then will one get Brahma Vidya. When there is vairagyam, then Brahma Vidya is going to be elaborated. So, to show the details of apara Vidya and what it can give, till where it can take, till how long or how to get those fruits of Indralok, etc., Swargalok, etc., whatever, Artha, Kama, and Dharma, whatever is needed, and you take the help of Vedic karmas for it, the anityatvam of it, the non-eternal nature of the fruits that they give you, the temporariness, the momentariness would be the right thing. The momentariness that it brings, those karmas bring, however long it may appear from a human standpoint, but definitely, even from our standpoint, even if we have lived, say, 30, 40, 50 years of our life, do we really feel it has been 30, 40, 50 years? From one standpoint, it just feels no, it hasn't been so long a time that I am still there. I still, etc. You don't think that there is a long time. In the same way, those lokas over there, even when the karma gives you there, if a person has, while performance of the duties, has seen the temporariness of the result, they lose the interest in the karma. That interest having gone is what Shankara says in the 12th mantra of this section itself, is the very famous verse, Pariksha Lokan Karma Chitan. He says, having examined the lokas, and Shankara will give a very beautiful meaning of loka. Where was it? Has given a very beautiful meaning of lok. What is lok? He said lok is the, due to karma phala, the generation of the physical environment to allow karma phala to mature. That karma phala is actually another, I think in this verse only he will say, karma phala is another word for lok. Lok means where the karma phala has manifested. Not where, that means it was a place before. According to the karma phala which has to manifest is a place manifested. This is something which is very, very significant. So he equates lok to karma phal and says, as per each person's, literally person's, karma phal that has to manifest, the lok is also there, manifests according to that. So, pariksha lokan, when you have done pariksha, examination of what all fruits are generated, and the nature of those fruits, the nature of those results, those areas when one has examined pariksha, ku pariksha means having, that year there is lyap, it means karke. You have to keep examining the gains of karma, what it gives. It gives. And that is what the first mantra starts with. Tat etat satyam. Tat etat satyam means, yes, karmas give results. Tat etat satyam. Satyam here is not satyam jnanam anantam. Satyam here is referring to the karma, and it says, yes, It is true that karmas generate results. So, the introduction, Shankara finishes by saying that apara vidya is detailed now from first verse onwards. In the first few verses, up to 6 verses or something, he's going to talk about apara vidya and why. Convinces almost, the mantras are convincing that you must perform your karmas, only because it is at the end of the section going to say, because of the, now you know what karma gives you, pariksha lokan, examine what it gives you very well. Once you know it, you can now give it up. There's a very beautiful sentence which says, renunciation of karma phal gives maturity, but not renunciation of karma. We have seen this very often in the context of karma yoga also. So while the attachment is to the fruit, we cling on to the fruit, we work only for fruit, that connecting that to the seed of samsara and connecting the samsara to the seed of avidya, when it gets connected to avidya is where brahma vidya starts to become relevant, where that's the place where brahma vidya begins. Before that, the work is to connect your karma phala and seeing that whatever it can give you is anityam. And anityam means it is a seed of samsara, means we all know this, we have done the topic very well, very often. Samsara is characterized by birth and death. And so the Upanishad says, first, understand your fascination, your want, understand what you want. And when you understand that well enough, there is a chance that you will develop vairagyam from it. What it gives you truly, when you see through that fall and its gain, there'll be a dispassion, and the whole realm of karma is now fallen off. And then Paravidya starts. So the first mantra, Tat etat satyam. Tat etat, it is true. What is true? Mantreshu karmani kavayoho yani apashyan. All the mantras that are related to karmas, which produce the phal, those karmas bring results because of those mantras. Kavayaha, those who know, apashyan, they see it as true. Tat satyam, they see it as valid. Whatever mantras are given in the Karma Kand portion of Vedas, they see that the Kavayaha, they see it. You know how we see? The best example I can correlate probably is if a child sees things fall down and wonders, oh, it fell down. And an adult also at that age of the child pretends with the child that, oh, see, it fell down. But the adult understands, sees why it fell down. You see through that the object falls down, and it's not a fascination for you because you know the law of gravity, you know it falls down. But for the one who doesn't know the law of gravity, for that person, that child over there, it's a fascination how it has happened. All of us who do not, kavayaha means those who are now seeing it as a reality. They know it happens. They see it as truth. They see its functioning. Just as we see the functioning of gravity, they see the functioning of the Vedic karmas. That means mantra says here, Upanishad mantra says here, that karma kand is valid. That karma kand gives you whatever you desire, whatever you want. Karma kand is a means for fulfilling desires also. Artha, kama, dharma. Dharma, artha, kama, it fulfills all of them. This the seers are seeing. And what mantras? Tani tretayam bahudha santatani. Those Tani Tretayam Bahuda Santatani. Bahuda is manifold, many ways. Tretayam is referring to the three Vedas, the Rig Ved, the Yajur Ved, and the Sama Ved, not the Atharva Ved. Each Ved has its own priest, and each priest has his own set of mantras. So, how a traditional, really traditional, I don't know if it works anymore, or maybe it does in some Vedic Gurukulas, any one karma also would actually need priests from all the four Vedas, each priest from each one. And for any karma, specific karma, each priest would do simultaneously his own set of mantras and karmas that are to be ordained for that one karma. So, Rigvedi priest will do his own karma, Yajurvedi priest will do his own karma, and Samavedi priest will do his own karma. Atharva Vedi is not got a karma. He's supposed to supervise all of them. All the other three, that kind of, he's called a Brahman. And these three have specific names, and their mantras are also called specific things, which Shankara mentions here in the Bhashyam. Hotri, Advarya, and Udgatra. Hotra is the Rig Veda. The priest is called Hotri. Advarya is the Yajurveda priest. And Udgatra is the Samaveda priest. Their mantras are also specific over there. So when he says Tani Tretayam Bahuda Santatani, so there are in these three Vedas, because the three priests alone are the ones who do these karmas. Atharva Vedi doesn't do the karma. These three, and especially when Rig Veda gives the mantras, the Yajur Veda gives the technique of doing it, and the Sama Veda gives the singing part of it, the verse part of it. So somewhere all of them do this. Santatani, they are there to do these karmas. Explained away in great details are these karmas which give their results. So the first three lines of the verse, Tad etat satyam, full stop. This is a pratigya vakyam of the mantra. For the next few verses, pratigya vakyam, we have explained before. Pratigya vakyam is the statement of opening, means this is what is going to get concluded. So you start with a statement of opening, and then there comes yukti, there comes explanation of how it can be true, and then comes conclusion. Therefore, this is true. So tad etat satyam is pratigya vakyam, means karmas give results. All the various mantras that are explained in the three Vedas that have to be done, the seers, wise seers means rishis here, who have done a lot of internal tapas and have a great chitta shuddhi. Why they can see this is because the antakaranam is polished clean. There is no, from one standpoint, yes, disturbances in the form of ragadvesh, all manifestation of vikshepas, etc. The rishis, through their tapas and through their pursuits of discipline, self-disciplines, which is tapas, have antakaran which is clean, shining. And therefore, the subtle manifestations are mentally seen. Like, like we said, gravity, we don't see physically gravity. We can only appreciate it mentally, and we know it. Vedic karma, I'm going to be very emphatic over here because it is needed to be emphatic. People have questions whether Vedic karmas work or they don't work. Just because they're elaborate, in fact, mostly they will not work because they are so specific and elaborate with so much self discipline required that most of the people will not even perform it in the real sense of it. So, you don't see the result most often. But this portion is clarifying, and the entire lineage teaches wherever people ask, do Vedic karmas, does Vedic karma have a validity? This is the mantra that is quoted to say Vedic karmas have validity. The seers, the kavayaha, apashyan, they see it, they have seen it, that how they work. So, these three lines are establishing to the student that Vedic karmas are a reality. Let's put it this way, they work. Tani acharatha niyatam satyakamaha. Satyakamaha means the desirers of Satya. Here, Satya means truth, desirers of higher, desirers of, okay, let's put it here, Satyakamaha would mean the desirers of Artha, Kama, and Dharma. The desirers of that, whoever needs, because this context is Karmakand, Satyakamaha here means the desirers of fruits in the form of Artha, Kama, Dharma. Satyakamaha, Tani, those karmanis, Vedic karmanis, Niyatam, regularly. Regular, Niyatam means regularly, as ordained. Acharatha, you must perform. May you perform. Perform means there's one way of saying karo. Another way of saying is karo. It's like it's in your benefit. Do it. Why is it in your benefit? Eshaha, esh, eshaha vaha panthaha sukrutasya loke. That's where he says the word loke. Eshaha sukrutasya, eshaha vaha panthaha sukrutasya loke. Sukrut, sukrit, done well. Eshaha, those karmas, done well. Vaha, referring to you, us. Vaha, those karmas are panthaha. They are the means, they are the marg, they are the sadhan. For what? Loke. They are the sadhan for gaining the results. Loke here means for all, of course, one standpoint, though up to the point of the highest loka. And this is where Shankara says it in page 29. He says is fal nimittam lokyate drishyate bhujyate iti karma phalam loka uchyate. Underline the definition. This is the definition which clarifies completely what is bhulok, what is Swarg, and why Veda talks of the 14 lokas. Because as per each person's karma, there is a realm of experience that is created to help the jiva for exhausting it or for outgrowing it. When you exhaust it, you can exhaust it by just karma and then have gained more in the process, or you simply outgrow it through knowledge. So, mantra 1 says that karmas, remember it's connecting to apara vidya. And since some of us have now revised the first section, apara vidya is all knowledge of the Vedas, all mantras, and how to be done, etc. And which karma for what result. Tat etat satyam. This realm of karma is valid, is available for implementation. It's like saying, which knowledge is valid? How would you determine a knowledge's validity? How would you say that this is a correct knowledge by the end result? If a knowledge is correct, then the result that it promises should come. That means Jnanakand is not promising any phal. Jnanakand promises moksha. That is why when people mature into Vedantic knowledge, it becomes a little strange to still talk about success in the world and things like that, because yes, every jiva takes their time to mature into it. Even if you have knowledge, that's acceptable, and there is a time that will be there, but Jnanakand will fructify itself into moksha. Karma kand fructifies itself into phalam, different phal. And he says, Tani acharatha. I may not have emphasized it enough at the first time. Those karmas should be done. By whom? Those who seek their own welfare in the world. If you seek your welfare, if you seek wellness, if you seek comforts, if you seek good life, do your karmas that are ordained for you. Eshaha vaha, these karmas are your means. Panthaha, they are your marg, they are your sadhan for gaining those fruits. And I think I have mentioned most of the points that come in the Bhashya. So, all these karmas done together, which give different results. Whatever is ordained for whoever, like for example, for Grahastas, Agnihotra, Adi Karma, that also Shankara mentions. Sannyasi is not supposed to do any karma, Brahmachari is not to do any karma, Vanaprasthi is to do upasanas, and sometimes there are karmas with upasanas. So for each person, whatever there is, do your karmas. Yes, it has become extremely invalid in the present times, but the Upanishad says, that is why remember the student is Shaunaka, Mahashalaha. Every time you will do the Upanishad, you will see more connections. No word here will be just like that. It's not just to glorify Shaunaka as a Mahashalaha. Mahashalaha meant he was a great karmatha, in the sense he was following his karmas, not a karmatha, that's a wrong word here. He was following his karmas as the Vedas had enjoined. And the second section has started with saying, do your karmas that are to be done. And then second mantra, we will do the next class, in the next, just warming up a little now once again. And Yada le layate hi archihi samithe avyavahane. So he says here, describing the Vedic karmas, that when the fire is lit, means he said, do your karma well. So he's now talking about the Vedic karma. In that well lit fire, when the flames are well and going up, that's the time may you put your oblations as per desired, as per said. So, as per the method. So, the first and the second mantra is like emphasizing upon how to maintain the natural tendency to give them up, to give up our Vedic karmas. We've already given them up, so it is a question of talking about it now. But just to, for the sake of the context of the Upanishad, I'm talking that those who have been doing their karmas, they were not to give them up till they were ready for Brahma Vidya. So that would have, like Shaunaka, that would have brought the mature, that would have brought the vairagyam. When you go on doing these karmas, they are tedious, they involve a lot of time and effort, and they involve a lot of precision. There is too much of a discipline, and on top of it, there is this that if you do them wrongly, there are certain karmas you just can't do them wrongly. If you do them wrongly, you get an opposite result. So there's this constant alertness that develops because you just cannot do it wrongly. If you do in an incorrect way, in Vedanta, it's a different thing because it's not karma related. But with the Kartrik Bhav, when a Vedic karma was done, it had to be done as is. In fact, that is the reason why most of us have given it up. A lot of us have given it up because the link was lost as to why continue it in the modern education system. But many of us gave up because it had become tedious, and with changing times, they just didn't, lifestyles changed, and one could not continue these. But there is a great disadvantage, according to Upanishads, that the internal maturity that was to come, that unless and until you were able to from within tell yourself, no, I do not want it. That first thought that must come is, I don't want it. How else do these people become sannyasis, or those who have chosen a different life, that you don't want jobs, you don't want children, you don't want houses, you don't want car, you don't want to spend your life. Just see how the sadhana sadhya will be related. If you will just spend your life earning for these comforts of life, that's the sadhya sadhana. So you will study to get money, and then you will get a house, and you'll get a car, then you'll have etc etc etc. The mind which matures to say that this is not the relation that you would live for, because this is not the truth, this is not going to end here, it is just putting you back into the cycle of samsara again. Till the person develops from within to say the courage to say, I don't want this result. However difficult it may be after that, he's ready for that difficulty. He's ready to enter the path of jnana, because karma at least gives you some security. It at least gives you some phalam. You can depend on it. It at least gives you something to do. It keeps you involved in society and with people. So it keeps you with relations. So whoever needs it must continue with karma. But because you continue with karma, as the Vedikas said, as per it said, and now when we say this, of course, we understand, Shastra understands that it's a map given. It's also given with the fact that yatha ichchasi tatha kuru kind of a thing. Do what you want, ultimately. But if you want your artha, kama, and dharma, and finally maturity, as he said over here, nirveda, nirveda. Reflect on that word. Veda means now here referring to the karmakand part of it. Veda, you engage in Veda to get the result. Nirveda means now you've grown out of it. You've grown out of the dependency of this phal and that phal. Or even if you have, you are still trying. Either you're processing yourself towards it, or you've grown out of it. Grown out of it is always spoken as a last ideal, just as the last point, but most people are in Vedanta trying to grow out of it so that the cycle of samsara gets cut, shortened. At least it's shortened to start with. So, with this, he says, first, when you read this, do it. Acharatha. The word was very, very clear, not ambiguous at all. And the first mantra is clearly telling mankind, do your own karmas according to your varnashrama, etc. And niyatam karma. Do your niyata karma, nitya karma. So, and then we'll continue this in the next class. I just conclude. ॐ सर्वेषां स्वस्तिर्भवतु सर्वेषां शान्तिर्भवतु सर्वेषां पूर्णं भवतु सर्वेषां मङ्गलं भवतु सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत्. So, thank you everyone, and thank you for all those who could. I'm sure many of you want to, but whoever could take out the time and do it. And I must say there are some really good answer sheets. Answer sheets as in very, very well done. A lot of effort has gone in writing those answers. There are 3 which are excellent. So thank you everyone for, and I know many of you do want to do it, but either don't have the time or cannot. That's okay, perfectly fine. The topic has to be clear, and this is an Upanishad. Yes. With every hearing, it gets more and more grounded. So thank you. We'll meet again next Tuesday, and hopefully at one go continue without any breaks, at least the second section. And since not many people have attempted, I don't know if it's a very good idea. Maybe you can all do I can give you the examiners, but you can do it on your own. Waiting to get people to finish it. There were very few responses, so you can all let me know separately whether by the time, of course, this is a little longer section. It will take a little longer if you want them or not. So thank you, everyone. Take care. Hari Om.